Welcome back. All right. So this is the Whissel Weekend Show. Jason Hall with Team Home Loans, the co-host the previous or the past 5 years, and my good friend Kyle Whissel out speaking yet again. He's in Scottsdale today and had a chance to talk to him yesterday after our team meeting. And I said, hey, are you excited? He's like, well, I've been speaking a lot. I'm getting a little tired. He goes, but my dad, who got him into real estate, Robert Whissel, we call him Pops. Pops got Kyle into real estate when Kyle was only 19 years old. He was going to school right down the street here from the studios at UCSD. And he was like, hey, let me learn this. But his dad's never heard him speak. And so one of the cool things they're doing is tomorrow, his dad will have the chance to see him speak in front of thousands of people on stage. And so that'll be a proud moment for both of them.
Every father's dream.
Yeah, every father wants to see their son succeed and see their son do well. And every son wants to, impress and do well and show that their dad raised them right and, that they've done well and appreciate all they've done. So it's going to be a good day tomorrow for Kyle and Pops. And they're actually golfing in Scottsdale today.
Oh, yeah.
So lucky him. And I'm not even sure what button to hit for the golf here, but I'll look at something. But again, Whissel Weekend, the real estate show here. Kyle Whissel and the Whissel team, the #1 real estate team per transactions, meaning they've sold more properties than any other team in the previous 5 years per the Wall Street Journal. And new to the team, although not new to real estate, not new to San Diego. We just talked with Matt Huneycutt, and Matt's been now in San Diego over 15 years, came from North Carolina, as being stationed here as a Navy kind of electrician, where he got his introduction to San Diego. But we really wanted to talk about, Matt, what got your introduction into real estate?
Oh, man, that's a great question, Jason. So, backstory, when I was in 7th grade, I realized that I could buy candy for a few bucks and sell it at school and make $5 or $10 a day.
That's crazy.
So I've always had this kind of a entrepreneurial, spirit. But when I came to San Diego, this was 2004. My first few years out here, I got to see the real estate run up, come 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we have the housing crash, and all these houses around us are, super cheap. Unfortunately, a lot of foreclosures impacting a lot of families, but there was a lot of inventory, and for a lot of the industries out there, people, their paychecks were falling off as much as homes were coming onto the market, right? So, fortunately, being in the military, we had a pretty stable income throughout that period of time, and I was able to buy a house. So I bought one, and it was great.
So roughly what year was this?
This was beginning of 2008.
Okay.
Yeah, bought my first house out here, and man, I realized this was a really great deal. A few years later, before the market came back up again, I bought another one and rented out the first house, and then kind of just caught the bug from there. And, in the military, you hit that 10-year window where it's kind of like you hit the crossroads and you got to make a decision. Are you going to stay or are you going to go?
Right.
And at this point, I was reading, 2 or 3 books a week on real estate investing and just really caught the fever. And I said, my heart's calling me this direction. And then I met a guy who kind of recruited me into fix and flip and development. And then I decided, this is where I want to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And so that was 2000 and...
That was around 2014 when I finally got out of the Navy. Yeah.
Okay. And this is where you'd already made the decision, hey, I'm going to start buying, flipping, I'm going to hold. And when did you decide, hey, I want to get licensed and become a real estate agent?
Yeah, so about 2 years after I got out, my partner and I had put a lot of projects in motion, and a lot were being built, small subdivisions, and we were just kind of waiting for those to, come available to put them on the market. And he had convinced me, hey, when these come on the market, why don't you get your license? You'll be able to go out there and, represent them and sell them. I was like, hey, that's great. And then I got my license, and just like anything else, when you first start out with your license, you're like, okay, well, how do I go do this? And you look at your network. And so I went and I started talking to the military people that I knew. And that's when it hit me. lightning bolt. None of these guys that I served with knew anything about the real estate market. That I spent 7, 8, 9 years immersing myself
right.
in it.
You've been in there. So you've been owning, you've been buying, you've been flipping, and you started to talk to some of your other guys that you served with, and they know their jobs super well,
Exactly.
but they didn't know anything about real estate.
You know, had no idea what the opportunity was out there, especially in San Diego. We're like the, I don't know, we're like the Super Bowl of real estate down here in Southern California.
It really is. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
great investment, and a lot of that is because of supply and demand, and the weather sets that demand, right?
Right.
And so, we are limited in space where we can't just build tens and hundreds of thousands of homes like they have over the last 20, 30 years, both in Las Vegas and in, say, Scottsdale, Phoenix, Arizona area, where Kyle's at right now speaking this week. And that makes a difference,
Yeah.
right? We do have always going to have a limited supply of homes. And as long as we have demand, which means as long as we still have the great weather and we have jobs like the Navy jobs, the Marine jobs, all the different types of industries we now have here, in San Diego, we're very diversified economically.
Mm-hmm.
And that is keeping the demand side always doing well. And then when rates drop like they have recently, you even see a higher pickup of demand where people now that maybe could only qualify for 300 might be able to qualify for 330 just because the rates went down, a quarter to a 0.5%. They picked up that extra buying power.
Exactly.
And now they're like, hey, why am I renting as rents continue to go up? So when you started talking to your, the guys you served with and found out they didn't know much, the lightning bolt went off. You kind of started talking to them.
Yeah.
So walk me through that.
Yeah, so I started to, I reached out to my network. Hey, guys, guess what? Weird change. Matt, former AE1, aircraft electrician, QAR. Oh, yeah, I sell houses now. Get over that hurdle. And I'm like, why do you do that? Well, the reason I do that is because you guys need to know about this. And it happens, right? You get all these guys like me. We wash up in San Diego from these flyover states, East Coast, South, wherever. And the cost of housing, cost of living in those places is nothing compared to, what it is in San Diego. And it's a culture shock when guys like me wash up out here. We don't know how to take it when we see that electric bill or, the rent prices, and we feel the pinch. But what I really wanted to express to these guys was what you feel as a pinch is actually an opportunity, because the housing market here it's really strong. And the rest of the nation started to come down. San Diego was one of the last to fall and one of the first to stand back up. It's because people want to be here. And, whereas these guys, they're looking at it like, hey, it's expensive to live in San Diego. I'm like, no, it pays well to own in San Diego. That's the message I wanted them to take on. And when I started to explain this to these guys, they got it. They're like, wow, my rent can be my 401k if I use it wisely. Right?
Yeah, because that housing allowance, which is kind of, what the government gives those that serve, which you're referring to kind of in general as the rent, you can take that, purchase something, and that's where you're getting additional investments. And you're kind of just referring to that as an example as a 401k. So it's an additional retirement asset for them. Now, you've helped quite a bunch of your, guys you've served with purchase homes over the last 3 years.
Right.
And how does that feel?
Oh man, it's amazing. when you can take someone who's only owned a house for 14 months and they have to leave here on orders to go somewhere else, and I give them a check for $35,000, which is more than what they would have paid in rent for the same place in that period of time, they're happy. Free housing for a year just because they chose to be smart and buy while they were here. That's a very rewarding experience.
Nice. Yeah, that is huge. That's huge. And most people don't get that. No. They think, hey, I'm not going to be here that long, and they pay the $2,500 to $3,500 in rent instead of investing that in their own home that they can either sell when they decide to leave or they can keep. I know you probably have clients like I do who, hey, the only reason I own a property in San Diego, Jason, is because I bought it when I was here. I got restationed, and now when I decided to retire, I knew I could come back and live here because I bought it at the right time.
Yep.
I didn't wait, because if I would have waited that 5-10 years, then I couldn't afford, because the house
Exactly.
prices always go up.
Right.
At least in San Diego, it seems that way. I mean, there is downtimes, but long term, if you look at the trend, long-term house prices always have bounced back in San Diego. And as long as we don't have some crazy economic problem, as long as the ocean doesn't dry up, as long as the sun doesn't go away, where it's warm almost, 12 months of the year, I mean, we're truly spoiled. I mean, it's pretty much 60 to 80, 95% of the year.
It is.
It hardly gets under 60, hardly gets over 80s. I mean, there's the few times, but it's very recent.
Yeah.
Very recent. So, again, you're listening to Whissel Weekend. We've got Matt Huneycutt, one of the agents on the Whissel team, who joined us. How long ago, Matt?
Oh, man, it was only in March.
So only a few months back.
Yeah.
Kind of telling us about his story of going from the Navy into real estate, coming from North Carolina to San Diego over 15 years ago. We've got to catch a break. But again, AM 1170, The Answer. We'll be right back.